Masters of the Universe fans? Once again, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to all of the absolutely incredible contributions from my Optibotimus Plus channel members, specifically those that you see on the screen right now, we're going to be taking a look at the new Masters of the Universe Origins TEELA ZOAR 2-pack. The heroic warrior goddess who commands the flying falcon into battle. This was one that I was definitely looking forward to, and I think a lot of other fans were as well for a couple different reasons. First off, for the package, celebrating 40 years of the Masters of the Universe, all these more recent figures have this nice foil logo right up here on the top depicting the 40th anniversary. Art-wise, absolutely gorgeous as well. You can see TEELA here with ZOAR in the background. You got Castle Grayskull a little bit further back. Of course, you got the open window that fully showcases the figures, and a really kind of funny cartoon image of this little boy playing with ZOAR, and you can actually make the wings flap. The side here has these weird lizards that are all over the place. The side over here doesn't really have anything, but when you come around to the back, you got other figures and things of that nature that are available. King Randor is one that I'm really looking forward to, as well as Whiplash. And then you got the play feature right down here, and then another gorgeous artistic image showing TEELA battling Skeletor with ZOAR, and a little tease for what's coming. You have Screech also there. Now, there have been, I guess, rumors that much like TEELA is coming with ZOAR, they will reissue a Evil Lyn with Screech. Which makes sense, because as I said, there's a couple different things about this release that I think a lot of fans are excited about. Obviously, getting ZOAR is one of them, but we're also getting an updated version of TEELA by way of getting a new leg setup and improved knees. So it makes sense because Evil Lyn is pretty much a repaint of TEELA, that they would reuse that to give us Evil Lyn, and then repaint ZOAR to give us Screech. So it all makes sense. But for the packaging on this set, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get them out here and see how cool they actually are. Alright, so here we have the new TEELA ZOAR opened up and out of the packaging. And I'm a whole lot more impressed with this set than I really thought it was going to be. For me, ZOAR was always going to be the star of this release. But, you know, TEELA really has kind of impressed me. Now, some people have complained because the yellow that you see on her in the promotional images was more of a gold color. And I could absolutely see why people would be a little bit put off by that. But I still don't think that it looks bad really at all. So starting off first with her, we're going to put ZOAR here off to the back. Now, she comes with her accessories. These accessories are going to basically be identical to what we got before. She's got her snake armor. That's exactly the same. Colors in the same, all that kind of stuff. She has her shield. One thing that I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but it kind of feels like the older one is a little bit more sharp in terms of the molding, whereas the newer one is a little bit softer. Looking at that makes sense. But for the most part, again, pretty much identical. Now, she does come with her snake sap, but as you can see, it's done in this yellow plastic, whereas the previous one was done in this rustish sort of color. Again, identical sculpt. Worst comes to worst, you know, if people don't like the fact that this is completely bright yellow, you can just use that. Although the yellow does kind of match with the rest of her outfit and everything. So there's that, and then she does come with the sword that I don't believe we've gotten before. And actually it looks pretty nice for the most part. It kind of looks like there's a jewel inside there. But again, it's done in this very bright yellow, so you kind of miss a lot of those details unless you get like really super close. Oh, there you go. I mean, you can kind of see what's going on there. I mean, it looks really good, but you kind of lose it because of the brightness of the yellow. The figure, though, again, people are going to complain about the yellow. And it is what it is. But I was completely blown away by the fact that this is a new head sculpt. Now, bringing in the previous one, and I just honestly, this is the one that I've had in my collection, and I don't remember if, I think there was a couple different TEELAs, but I'm trying to remember if the other TEELAs gave different head sculpts. But you can see, really very nice. It does have a more, I guess, modern look for her, which is perfectly okay in my opinion. But again, you can see the yellow for the costume, much different than the gold. And I just, I get more of an animation sort of feel for the new one, and it doesn't bother me really at all. You can also see that the skin tone is lighter. The face is completely different, obviously, because the head sculpt is different. You know, and the female figures are all really kind of weird because they don't really separate as well as they're supposed to. So, I mean, I guess you could do something like that. I mean, the yellow still, that's not going to really look all that good because, truthfully, the skin tone just kind of messes everything up. So, I don't know why anybody, I mean, I guess, I mean, and these are all kind of like pinned in there. So, the swapping on the female figures is not as easy as the male ones, I feel. So, getting her to stand there and then putting the severed body of this Teela back together. I honestly, I'm really impressed with how this looks. And you can see that the knees are dramatically different. Now, they do still kind of have that little lip right there, but it's not nearly as bad, and you can't straighten those ones out nearly as much. So you can see just what's going on here. So she can get standing a little bit better without having that kind of weird bend in her knee. So I really like seeing how they improved that, and you can kind of see that from the side. I mean, it's a subtle difference, realistically, but it works very, very nicely. And I think the biggest thing that people are going to have to try and get used to would be the coloring on her. But to be totally honest, I am perfectly happy with this one in my collection now. I will more than likely remove this one from my collection and use this one. I just think it looks very, very nice. So I'm quite happy. Articulation wise, the head is on a ball joint. You do get it in pretty good range of motion. I've heard people say that there's a little bit of a bobblehead thing with some of theirs. Mine's pretty decent, although it is a little loose right there, but that's just kind of the nature of the way that it is. The shoulders do have the pin hinge joints. One thing that's weird though is like when you pull it out, it's kind of hard to push them back in. So I kind of like going around and pushing it down. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but getting them down is a little bit different. You do have a rotation at the elbow itself. You got the hinge. You have the wrist pegs and all that fun stuff. You do have the waist rotation. The hips move forward and back, in and out. They have that bend and swivel. The boots do have a rotation right above the cut, and then the ankles have the hacky sack pose and the forward and back motion as well. So lots of articulation that you would expect in these figures is continued on here with Miss Teela. So there she is. And now let's see, get that straight. Now coming to what I consider the main point of this set, getting an updated version of Teela is a nice bonus, but this is for me the main star. Now, many of you know that Zoar is the alternate form of the sorceress. Whenever she would leave the castle, she didn't have her powers or anything, and she would travel by transforming into this. And you can recognize it because the coloring and the wings and everything on that sorceress figure match with here. So what you have is a nice display stand that you can see very easily. Clips, you got like some ridges right here. Just kind of put that on there, and she's going to sit on there perfectly fine, looking very nice. Now, this battle armor thing, I kind of am weirded out by this. So you attach it on here, but this back section is very soft, and you can see, it's like this, there's going to be, there already looks like there's like a stress mark, but you kind of have to put it over and then kind of sort of push the plastic out to kind of fit around the tail, so it creates this and I'm not a big fan of that. So don't know really how I feel about that. I'm more than likely not going to really display this, but this feels a little bit thin in terms of plastic. I'm not a big fan of that either. I don't want to say it gives it a cheap feel, but it definitely has a thinnerness to it, which doesn't stand out as very premium, I feel. But looks good. Looks how it should look. Almost looks like it's got a little bit of a shine to it. But this is just fantastic. So much like the vintage. One thing I would say is like these are much more rubbery than I remember them being in the original toy line. I also kind of remember it like popping off a lot, which was weird. But you got that whole top section here, which is that rubbery material. Gorgeous detail with the paint, everything with the eyes, the beak, all of it. You can have Zoar sit under your finger and, hey, I got a birdie. Now, as you can see, you do have the the flapping wing thing. That gimmick still carries over from the original vintage toy. You got a little button right here in the back, and you move it up. Now, it's not nearly as good as some people have kind of remembered. Like, when you look at it, I feel like that doesn't push it all the way up. So, this wing works fine, because that's where the button is. The other one just kind of, like, limps around, unless you get, like, some good motion going. So, it kind of always looks like she's going to be flapping. But, I mean, it goes up and down, but it just almost is like, when you look here, you got this piece that comes up, and it almost is like that's not sitting on there well. I mean, it works. Not as good as it probably could be. But I do like the fact that, and you can even see that it kind of pushes up a little bit more on this side when you're looking at it than that side. So, I mean, she's going to be constantly turning out to the side. I don't know. I'm not going to be sitting there playing with it, but it definitely is worth noting that it probably could be better. Now, as I talked about, the rubber on here is really nice. It definitely feels more rubbery than that vintage one, just by my by my memory for the most part. I don't know for sure, to be totally honest with you, but it's still a fun gimmick, and I think it looks really cool. And as I said, it's the alternate form for the sorceress, so that's really cool to see. I absolutely love this set. I really, like I said, initially when I was getting involved with it, was thinking that Zoar was going to be what was going to stand out for me. And she still does. She's still the primary focal point. You know, if you did not have this figure and you have this version of Teela, you're still probably going to be perfectly fine. But we've already gotten a Teela, and like I said, I want to say we've gotten her a couple other times. So I believe that, you know, the main purpose of this set is to release this, but they wanted to give us something else, and I think that that is where the Teela figure comes in. All in all, though, well-rounded set. I'm really happy with it. All of her accessories, you know, match with what you would expect. As I said, I do believe that this is a new accessory. I don't remember seeing this anywhere else. So that's nice. Zoar coming along with the stand as well as the jetpack thing here. Again, all really very nice. So, absolutely, I would recommend picking this set up. These are definitely A-list characters, in my opinion. Teela being a huge influence, and of course, Sorceress, and then having her alternate form being the Falcon. Again, really makes this, for me, a must-have set. But there you go, guys. There's my look at the new Masters of the Universe Origins Teela and Zoar. Now, there's a little bit of, I don't even really understand, just confusion, I guess, on if this is an exclusive or not. I'm not entirely sure, but it is available right now online at Big Bad Toy Store, and I'm seeing a lot of people getting theirs from them because they seem to have been the first ones to get them. So for that, I'll put a link right down there in the video description where you can head on over there and check out availability on this set, as well as the rest of the wide range of Masters of the Universe Origin figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and as always, please remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you all for watching and taking the time to be a kid.